I'm 70. I'd rather live alone, and here's why. Turning 70 is a milestone, a point in life that brings clarity about what truly matters. It's a season of reflection where the pace slows and priorities shift. Like many, I've walked through decades of relationships, obligations, and milestones, all while learning who I am and what I value. Now, at this stage of life, I find myself choosing solitude over companionship, independence over cohabitation. It's not because I'm bitter or lonely, it's because I've discovered a peace and freedom in living alone that I've never known before. If you've ever felt the same or wondered what this path looks like, let me share why this choice feels so right for me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. One, living alone honors my independence. As I reflect on my journey to 70, one of the most profound truths I've embraced is the sanctity of independence. Independence is not just a practical state, it's a deeply emotional and spiritual experience. For much of my life, independence was about achievement, raising children, building a career, keeping a home, and balancing the countless demands of others. But now, it's become something more profound. It's about reclaiming the essence of who I am and honoring my journey as an individual. Living alone has granted me a sense of liberation that I didn't know I needed. My days are my own, free from compromise or negotiation. I wake up to a rhythm that feels natural to me. I savor the silence of my mornings, unhurried, without the need to accommodate someone else's schedule. My meals are prepared not with anyone's preferences in mind, but simply as an act of self-care. Even the smallest details, what to watch, how to spend an afternoon, where to place a cherished photograph, become opportunities to connect with myself, to honor my preferences and needs without distraction. This independence goes beyond the physical. It's a statement of my autonomy, a quiet assertion that my life is still mine to live as I choose. For decades, I poured myself into others, often joyfully, but sometimes at the expense of my own desires. I was a partner, a parent, a caregiver, and a friend. Those roles were meaningful, and I embraced them wholeheartedly, yet they also meant setting aside parts of myself, my dreams, my comfort, even my peace, for the benefit of others. Now, I am free to nurture the parts of me that were long left unattended. Living alone allows me to revisit hobbies I once loved or explore new ones I never had the time for. I read more, take leisurely walks, tend to my garden, and spend hours simply sitting in quiet reflection. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing everything that matters to me. There is a profound satisfaction in making decisions without having to consider anyone else's opinion or schedule. It's not selfishness, it's self-respect. For so many years, my choices were shaped by the needs and desires of others. Living alone has taught me to trust myself, to prioritize my well-being without guilt or hesitation. This isn't a rejection of relationships but an embrace of my own value. Some may see solitude as a sign of loneliness, but I see it as a celebration of freedom. To live alone at this stage of life is to affirm that I am enough as I am. It's not about turning away from others but about turning toward myself. In the quiet of my home, I've discovered that my independence is not a retreat, it's a return to the essence of who I've always been. There's a beauty in this independence that's hard to articulate but easy to feel. It's in the simplicity of my surroundings, curated by and for me. It's in the quiet evenings when I reflect on the life I've lived and the choices I've made to honor my happiness. It's in the profound sense of peace that comes from knowing I don't have to explain or justify my choices to anyone. Living alone at 70 is not a limitation, it's an empowerment. It's a way of saying I know who I am, and I will honor that truth. There's no shame in choosing solitude, no sadness in embracing independence. Instead, there is joy, peace, and a quiet strength in knowing that my life is still my own to shape, even now. This stage of life has brought me a clarity that I couldn't have understood when I was younger. Living alone doesn't mean I've stopped loving or caring for others. It means I've started loving and caring for myself in a way I never fully allowed before, and that, to me, is the truest form of independence. 2. Solitude brings peace, not loneliness. In my younger years, solitude was something I avoided, a space that felt too empty and quiet, as though the silence itself might overwhelm me. Back then, the presence of others filled the hours and gave structure to my days. But now, at 70, I see solitude through a different lens, no longer as a void to be filled, but as a sanctuary of peace, a quiet gift I treasure more deeply with each passing year. Living alone has shown me that solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is a longing for connection, a heaviness that comes from feeling unseen or forgotten. Solitude, on the other hand, is a fullness, a space where I can breathe, reflect, and simply be. In solitude, I've discovered the beauty of my own company, the calm of a life lived without unnecessary noise or distraction. There's a unique peace in starting the day alone with nothing but the sound of the world waking up around me. I sit by the window with my coffee, feeling the warmth of the mug in my hands and watching as the sunlight spills across the room. There's no rush, no obligation to engage in conversation or meet anyone's expectations. It's just me, the moment, and a profound sense of contentment. In solitude, I've learned to savor the small joys that often go unnoticed in a busier, noisier life, the way the breeze carries the scent of the garden through an open window, the sound of leaves crunching underfoot on a morning walk, the comforting crackle of a fire on a quiet evening. These moments are simple, yet they hold a richness that fills my heart. They remind me that life doesn't have to be loud or crowded to be meaningful. This time alone also offers space for reflection, a chance to revisit the memories that have shaped me. I find myself looking back on my life, not with regret, but with gratitude, for the triumphs that brought joy, the challenges that taught resilience, and even the heartbreaks that deepened my understanding of love and loss. Solitude gives me the clarity to see these moments for what they are, the threads that have woven the story of my life. Of course, there are moments when I miss the company of others. I think of friends and loved ones who have drifted away, and I feel a pang of nostalgia for the laughter and conversations we once shared. But even in those moments, I find comfort in knowing that their presence in my life, however brief, was meaningful. Solitude doesn't erase those connections, it allows me to cherish them more deeply. Living alone has also helped me see the value of the relationships I still hold close. When I do spend time with family or friends, it feels more intentional, more present. There's no rush, no sense of obligation, just the simple joy of being together. Those moments are richer now because they are a choice, not a necessity. They remind me that solitude doesn't mean shutting the world out, it means engaging with it on my own terms. The peace of solitude has become a cornerstone of my well-being. It's a space where I can recharge, reflect, and connect with myself in ways I never could when life was busier and more demanding. In this quiet, I've learned to appreciate my own thoughts, to trust my instincts, and to find comfort in the person I've become. At 70, solitude is not a sign of loneliness, it's a celebration of freedom. It's the ability to stand in the quiet of my own home and feel whole, complete, and content. It's a reminder that I don't need to fill every moment with activity or every space with people to live a meaningful life. Solitude has taught me that peace isn't something you find in others, it's something you nurture within yourself. And in this stage of life, that peace is the greatest gift I could ask for.
1. We have less time than we think, and it's more precious than we realize. As I sit here at 65, I can't help but reflect on the passage of time. Time is relentless, slipping through our fingers faster than we ever imagined. When I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, I felt invincible. I never thought twice about time. There was always later to get things done. Tomorrow to start that project. Someday to repair a relationship or chase a dream. But now in my 60s, I understand that later is not promised. My wife and I realized that we may have another 10, perhaps 15 years of good health ahead of us, if we're fortunate. We know that this is not guaranteed, but we've chosen to live as if it's true. While it's tempting to get caught up in the illusion that life stretches out endlessly, the truth is, our time is finite. Sure, we hear stories of people living vibrantly into their 80s and 90s, but those are the exceptions, not the rule. My father lived until 88, and while he was physically active for most of those years, the last decade was slow, filled with quiet days and declining energy. I've learned to ask myself, am I living as if my time is running out? It's not a morbid question, but a motivating one. If we knew we only had 15 good years left, how would we choose to spend them? It's easy to fall into the comfort of routine, to fill our days with the familiar and the safe. But is that really how we want to spend the time we have left? Whether it's travel, starting a new passion project, mending old wounds, or simply spending more time with family, the time is now. This realization has led me to prioritize experiences over things. I no longer care about accumulating more stuff or checking off arbitrary achievements. Instead, I focus on creating memories with the people I love because that's what will last. In the end, our legacy isn't about what we did or owned. It's about how we spent our time and who we shared it with. 2. Health is a daily choice. Choose wisely. If I've learned one truth about longevity, it's that health isn't something that happens to us. It's something we actively cultivate every single day. For much of my life, I took my health for granted, assuming that as long as I didn't feel sick, I was doing just fine. But now, in my retirement years, I see just how vital the daily choices we make regarding our health truly are. Diet and exercise are the cornerstones of a long, healthy life. They are the two most powerful tools we have to extend our health span, the years during which we can live actively and fully. Forget about the latest miracle pill or trendy supplement. It's what you put in your body and how you move your body that counts the most. When I was younger, I didn't pay much attention to my diet. Like many people, I ate whatever was convenient or enjoyable, not thinking much about the long-term effects. But in my 60s, I can see the difference that good nutrition makes, not just in my waistline, but in my energy levels, my mood, and even my outlook on life. Eating a balanced, whole food diet has become one of the most important investments I make in myself. Exercise, too, has taken on new importance. In my youth, Physical activity was often about appearance or performance, how fast I could run, how strong I could get. But now, it's about staying mobile, flexible, and capable of enjoying life. I don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights anymore, but I do need to walk, stretch, and stay active. Movement is life, and I want to keep moving for as long as I can. The truth is, health is one of the few things we can control as we age. While genetics play a role, much of our well-being is determined by the choices we make every day. The earlier we start making better choices, the more time we'll have to enjoy the benefits. 3. Money stops being the focus, and what matters is what money can't buy. For most of my working life, I was laser-focused on financial security. I worked hard to build a career, save for retirement, and ensure that my family was provided for. But now that I'm in my retirement years, I've come to realize that money, while important, has taken a back seat. In our younger years, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of wealth. We chase promotions, save for the future, and often sacrifice time with loved ones in the name of financial stability. But here's the truth. Once your basic needs are met, your home, your health care, your daily expenses, money becomes less and less important. What really matters now are the things that money can't buy. Time with family, meaningful connections with friends, the peace of mind that comes from knowing that you've lived a good life. When I reflect on what brings me the most joy, it's not the size of my bank account or the possessions I've accumulated over the years. It's the memories I've made with the people I care about, the quiet moments spent with my wife, the laughter shared with my grandchildren. In retirement, I've learned to focus more on what money enables me to do, rather than on money itself. It's a tool, nothing more. It won't heal a broken relationship. It won't give you more time, and it won't bring you lasting happiness. What truly matters is how you spend your days and who you spend them with. 4. Your career won't define you, and that's okay. I spent over 40 years building my career as an engineer and manager, and for much of that time, I let my work define me. My identity was tied to what I did for a living, the title on my business card, and the successes I achieved. But now, 6 years into retirement, I can tell you this. My career feels like a distant memory. This was a tough pill to swallow at first. For years, I was proud of my professional accomplishments, and I assumed that others would always see me as a successful engineer. But the truth is, once you leave the workforce, your career starts to fade into the background. And you know what? That's perfectly okay. No one talks about my old job anymore. It's not what defines me, and it's not what people remember about me. What I've come to understand is that our careers are just one part of who we are. While work may have been a big part of my life for decades, it's not the most important part. Now I'm focused on being a good husband, a present father, a loving grandfather, a loyal friend, and a helpful mentor. These are the roles that will leave a lasting impact. If you're still working, I encourage you to do great work, but don't let your career define you. At the end of the day, your relationships, your character, and how you treated others will matter far more than your professional achievements. 5. Being present is the greatest gift you can give. One of the most profound lessons I've learned is the importance of being truly present for the people you love. My Aunt Betty and Uncle John taught me this by example. They didn't just send a card for special occasions or make the occasional phone call. They showed up. They were present at graduations, birthdays, weddings, and even just for quiet afternoons on the porch. In today's world, it's easy to get distracted by technology, busy schedules, and the demands of daily life. We send texts, we make quick calls, we send birthday greetings on social media. But these aren't substitutes for real presence. I've learned that being there in person means everything. Whether it's attending family gatherings, showing up for a friend in need, or simply spending time with loved ones, those moments matter more than we realize. I've seen how much it means to my grandchildren when I come to their soccer games or school plays. I've felt the joy of reconnecting with an old friend over coffee, not through a screen, but face to face. Presence is a gift, and it's one of the most precious things we can offer. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Sometimes it's just sitting with someone in silence, enjoying the moment together. Don't underestimate the power of being present. It's something that stays with people long after you've left the room. 6. Let go of the fear of embarrassment and embrace authenticity. One of the hardest lessons I've learned over the years is the importance of letting go of the fear of embarrassment. For a long time, I was afraid to speak up, afraid to confront difficult conversations, afraid of looking foolish. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that most of the things I was afraid of were trivial. Fear of embarrassment can hold us back in so many ways. It can prevent us from having those crucial conversations with family members, from apologizing when we've made a mistake, or from reaching out to someone we've lost touch with. But the truth is, once you push through that fear, good things happen. It might feel uncomfortable for a few moments, but the reward on the other side is worth it. I've had my share of awkward conversations, talking to a sibling after a falling out, addressing financial concerns with my wife, asking for forgiveness from an old friend. These moments weren't easy, but they were necessary. And in every case, the relationship grew stronger because we were able to have that honest, vulnerable conversation. If there's one piece of advice I could give, it's this. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want or need. Don't worry about how others will react. The people who care about you will appreciate your honesty, and you'll feel lighter for having spoken your truth. 7. Small acts of kindness can change lives. One of the greatest gifts life has given me is the understanding that small acts of kindness can have a profound impact on others. I didn't always realize this. I used to think that making a difference meant doing something big, something grand. But over the years, I've learned that it's often the small, seemingly insignificant gestures that change someone's day or even their life. Whether it's a kind word, a simple act of generosity, or a moment of encouragement, these small gestures can have a ripple effect far beyond what we imagine. I've had people tell me, years after the fact, that something I said or did made a difference in their life, and I had no idea at the time. In retirement, I've become more conscious of this. Whether it's offering advice to a young person starting their career, lending a helping hand to a neighbor, or simply taking the time to listen to a friend who's going through a hard time, I've learned that these small acts of kindness matter. We may not always see the impact of our actions, but that doesn't mean they're not felt. Kindness is a gift we can give freely, and it's one of the most powerful legacies we can leave behind. 8. Accomplishments fade, but the journey remains. When we're young, we spend a lot of time chasing after accomplishments, whether it's getting that promotion, buying a new house, or reaching a personal milestone. And while these achievements can be fulfilling in the moment, I've learned that their satisfaction fades quickly. You get the promotion, and after a few days, you're back to the grind. You buy the new car, and after a few weeks, it's just another vehicle. These moments, while exciting at first, don't provide lasting happiness. What stays with you is the journey, the experiences, the challenges, the growth along the way. Looking back, it's not the awards or the titles that mean the most to me. It's the relationships I built, the lessons I learned, and the people I helped along the way. Life is about the journey, not the destination. It's about how we show up each day, how we treat others, and how we navigate the ups and downs. I've come to realize that it's not the end result that matters. It's the person you become along the way. 9. Material things won't bring you joy, but time with loved ones will. There's an old saying that you can't take it with you, and the older I get, the more I understand just how true that is. We spend much of our lives accumulating things: houses, cars, gadgets, clothes. But in the end, these things don't bring lasting happiness. They're temporary, fleeting. What does bring joy, I've found, is time spent with the people you love. It's the memories you make, the connections you nurture, the laughter, and the conversations. When I look back on my life, the moments that stand out aren't the times I bought something new. They're the times I spent with family and friends, the shared experiences, the adventures, the quiet moments of connection. In my retirement years, I've made a conscious effort to focus more on relationships than possessions. I don't need a bigger house or a fancier car. What I need is time with my grandchildren, conversations with my wife, and moments of connection with the people I care about. 10. Giving is more fulfilling than receiving. If you had told me 30 years ago that giving would be more fulfilling than receiving, I'm not sure I would have believed you. But now I can honestly say that the joy I get from giving, my time, my resources, and my energy, far outweighs any pleasure I've ever gotten from receiving a gift or a favor. There's something deeply rewarding about helping others, whether it's through volunteering, offering advice, or simply being there when someone needs you. In my community, I've taken on several volunteer roles, whether it's building homes with Habitat for Humanity, serving on the park board, or helping out with local events. What I've learned is that giving is one of the most meaningful ways we can spend our time. It's not about recognition or accolades. It's about knowing that you've made a positive impact in someone else's life. And that, in my opinion, is one of the greatest joys in life. 11. Legacy is about the people you touch, not what you leave behind. The older I get, the more I think about legacy. When I was younger, I thought legacy was about accomplishments, the things I'd built, the awards I'd won, the wealth I'd accumulated. But now I see it differently. Legacy isn't about what you leave behind in material terms. It's about the people you've touched along the way. What will people remember about you when you're gone? Not the size of your house or the car you drove, but the kindness you showed, the relationships you nurtured, the love you gave. That's the legacy that truly matters. I've come to realize that my greatest legacy will be the impact I've had on the people I care about, the advice I've given, the support I've offered, the love I've shown. And that's what I want to be remembered for. Not the things I owned or the career I had, but the way I made people feel, the way I helped them, and the way I lived my life. In the end, our legacy isn't about the things we leave behind. It's about the love, the wisdom, and the kindness that live on in the hearts of the people we've touched. Those are my 12 truths, shaped by decades of living, working, learning, and growing. Some of them I wish I had understood earlier in life, but it's never too late to embrace what matters most. What about you? What lessons have you learned as you've gotten older? I'd love to hear them, and I know others would benefit from your wisdom too. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. And remember, there's gold in the shared experiences of others. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you find these stories inspiring and motivating, please comment 1. If not, comment 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for your valuable time.